going on? There go my thing acting up again. What's going on? Welcome to Lisa's Real Spill. Welcome to Lisa's Real Spill. Y'all know what's up. Y'all know what the deal is. Please like, share, and subscribe. Share if you care. Okay? Like and subscribe. Share if you care. And hey, welcome to Lisa's Real Spill. Y'all know what I do over here. I keep it real. I keep it simple, but I keep it real. Okay? What's going on with you good people? I hope everybody has been wonderful, great, all that good stuff. Right? It's been a lot going on in the world. So I hope everybody is keeping their head on a swivel. And I hope everybody is staying prayed up. Because it's been a lot of stuff going on in the world. Y'all know what's going on. But if you walking with God, you can't go wrong. He won't let you down. He won't leave you nor forsake you. So remember that. What's going on, good people? Listen, I titled this video, Trust in Yourself, right? That's what came to me. I don't know why. For the last couple of days, for some reason, trust been coming to me for some reason. You know, trust. I've been talking about trust a lot for the last couple of days, right? So I titled this video, Trust in Yourself. Because some of us, like for me, I'm going to use me. At one time, I didn't trust in myself, okay? And because I didn't trust in myself, it was a lot of things that I didn't do for me, right? And, you know, at one time in my life, I trusted, I tried to show everybody else I trusted them, right? I tried to show everybody that they could trust me, but I never tried to show me that I could trust me. You see what I'm saying? So finally, I began to recognize things, right? Especially after I've been clean. For those that don't know, I am a recovering addict and I've been clean over 20 years, okay? But finally, I started to recognize those things and I started to work on them, right? Trusting in myself. Because that's something that I wasn't doing. I wasn't trusting in myself. Hello, Molly. How are you? Thanks for tapping in. Please like and subscribe and share if you care. And so, as time went on, I started to work on those things because I started to recognize how important it was for me to trust myself, right? Instead of trying to trust other people or trying to prove to other people that they can trust me. I started to recognize how important it was for me to trust myself. Hello, Jocks. I don't know how to pronounce all that, but hi, Jocks. How are you? Thanks for tapping in. And so, I started working on that. I started working on that so that I could get to a place where as though I trusted me, right? I stopped making it about me trying to trust somebody else or me trying to show somebody else that I trusted them or they could trust me, right? And I started to buckle down and start to work on me trusting me, right? Because let me tell you something. For me, wait a minute, y'all, let me push my door up. For me, that was important, right? As I started to go deeper and deeper, you know, and started looking into that, that started to be very important to me to trust myself, right? Instead of me trying to trust other people or trying to prove to other people they could trust me. you know, I started looking at that and I was like, damn, this is crazy, you know? And it wasn't until I really started looking at it and I really started, like really digging into it that I started to recognize what the heck is wrong with me, that I can't trust myself. I'm not trusting myself. What is going on here? Well, a lot played a part in that, okay? Like me uh being in recovery. At one time, I was out there, I was a heroin addict at one time. Hello, Joseph, how are you? Thanks for tapping in. At one time, I was a heroin addict at one time, right? And that's where I disconnected from myself, okay? Hi, Bryson, how are you? Thanks for tapping in. Please subscribe and like the video and share if you care. And so listen, after that, I started to really recognize that my addiction had stripped me of so many things. You know what I mean? Like trusting myself, loving myself, all that, right? And so, hello, Judge, how are you? So I had to start working on that, right? Because that really bothered me. Thank you, Bryce. Bryson, I appreciate you. That started to really bother me when I started recognizing I didn't trust myself. And when I started really digging into it, I realized that my addiction had stripped me of a lot of things, right? And I had to start working on that. And so that's what I did. I started working on me. I had got clean. And then once I got clean, like I said, I started recognizing that I hadn't been loving me in a long time. I haven't had trust in myself in a long time. So I had to start working on those things because I wanted to get that back. And like when I got caught up in my addiction, it stripped me of a lot of things. And uh it had been a long time since I had loved myself or trusted myself, you know? And that really bothered me though when I started thinking about trusting myself. That really bothered me because I don't think I had trusted myself in a long time. I just didn't pay it no attention because like I said, my addiction, took a lot of that. Took me, my addiction took didn't allow me to focus on me. Put it like that. Because my addiction was in the way. You understand what I'm saying? And so after I had been clean for a while, uh, I started working on me, getting to start back to loving me and trusting in myself and everything. And so as I went through the process, it wasn't easy, but uh it was a good feeling when I started to know what that felt like again. Me loving myself and me being able to trust me. Because let me tell you something. We don't just some people think that they automatically trust themselves. Excuse me. Some people think that they automatically trust themselves, and that's just not the case. You don't just trust yourself automatically. Some people really think that they just automatically trust themselves, and I'm telling you that's not true. Because let me tell you something. Some people don't even acknowledge that they don't trust themselves, right? They don't acknowledge it until somebody say something about it or somebody talk about it. And then that's when people, it kicks in and they start to realize that damn, I haven't really been trusting myself. You understand what I'm saying? And so, and this happens to a lot of people. They don't be trusting themselves, but they don't really recognize it until, like I said, somebody brings it up or the conversation come about. Then they recognize, They start thinking, and that's when they, it pops in and they recognize that they haven't trusted themselves in a long time, you know? But and let me say this too. Trusting yourself, the way you can tell, I mean, for me, let me speak on me. The way I noticed that I didn't trust myself is because of things that I was doing, right? Like, I was working so hard at being loyal and trying to be trust, trying to show other people that, you know, I was trying to be loyal to them or trying to show them that they could trust me. Instead of me being loyal to myself and trusting myself, I was busy working trying to make other people think that, that they could trust me and that I was loyal to them and stuff. But I never looked at it as though I didn't trust myself or I didn't give myself a chance to trust me, to trust myself, right? And like I said, when I started on my healing journey, I started to recognize those things. And so I started to put the work in so I could get that back. Start loving myself, start being loyal to myself. One thing that I noticed that you can't trust others if you don't trust you. Let me say that again. You can't trust others if you can't trust you, right? How are you going to trust other people, right? Or show other people that you are trustworthy if you don't even trust yourself? I mean, that's deep. That is really deep, and that's something that we all should think about, right? Because it is important for you to be able to trust yourself. It's very important. And I think that's why some of us, right, that's not loyal to ourselves, that's lacking self-love, that's lacking trusting in yourself. I think that's why some of us spend so much time in somebody else's business. Some of us spend a lot of time talking about other people, gossiping about other people. But when it's time for you to talk about yourself, you can't do that. Or you don't want to do it. You understand what I'm saying? And I think that's because that trust is not there. You don't trust yourself. You're not loyal to yourself. You're lacking self love. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm saying seriously, this is important because a lot of people are going through this, but they don't acknowledge it. They don't acknowledge it. They're not aware of it. They are not aware of it. And for the last couple of days, for some reason, trust. I've been talking about trust a lot for the last few days. Just something about it that trust has been on my mind, and so it's been a conversation piece for me. You know, but I just think it's important that you take time out for you. Right? I cut off the relationships and everything. You know, because I needed to just focus on me. You know, I didn't need to be trying to focus on nobody else. I didn't need to be in a relationship. I had just got clean. This was during the time I had just got clean, and I didn't even need to be in a relationship because I still needed to be focused on me. But when you first get clean, you start shining, you gain your weight back, your skin glowing. You know what I mean? So and the niggas be howling at you, so you be trying to holler back and stuff. But then when my counselor dug in my tail, you know what I mean, and she told me, she said, "This ain't. I understand you feeling good, but you better check yourself because your life is on the line." Your life is on the line. This is nothing to play with. Your life is on the line. You're just getting clean, and it don't take nothing for you to end up back out there. My counselor was hard, right? But that's what I needed. That's what I needed. So I wasn't mad with her. And sometimes she be so hard on me, she make me cry, you know. But but I needed that. I needed that at the time. because, like she said, I had started feeling good and looking good, and I was slipping, trying to mess with, trying to talk to the guys because they hollering and stuff like that. I was slipping, and she would pull my coattail. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, pull it hard. Like she didn't play. She kept her foot on my neck. She really did. And I thank her for it too, because I needed that. It kept me focused on me, and it kept me pushing forward to stay clean and sober. And so shit, it's been over 20 years now, you know? And I don't know where my counselor at. I wish I could find her. I hope she's still living, because she was a very, very good counselor. And she used to say, was telling me about some people used to come in there and they used to demand and change their counselor, right? They didn't want her for a counselor because they said that she was too hard, right? And well, she says most of them would say she was disrespectful. And she used to check them. She used to say, disrespectful. Y'all out there, y'all been the same place I've been, because my counselor was a recovering addict. She said, y'all been in the same place I've been. And now you want to come in here, you done got clean. Now you talking about somebody being disrespectful. I'm trying to help you save your life. What are you talking about? She be off. She said, but change it. She said, I'm not mad with you because you trying to change me as a counselor. But like I said, I'm concerned about you staying clean and saving your life. That's my thing. You want somebody to baby you. Now you done got clean, you and your feelings. And so now you want somebody baby. I'm not gonna baby you. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to make sure you stay clean. And I'm gonna do whatever it takes for me to do just that. So a lot of people was like switching her out. Well, she didn't care. She said, I've been clean. I've been clean for a long time. She said, I'm here to try to keep you clean. And so a lot of times when she would lean on me, I felt the same way. I ain't gonna lie. I wanted to cuss her out. I wanted to tell her, get the hell out my face. I wanted to tell her, sometimes I wanted to jack her up and say, what? Who you talking to? Shit, I'm grown just like you are. Boy, I'm telling you, she used to make me feel like that. But I wouldn't change her because I needed that. I knew I needed that. You know what I'm saying? So I would just suck it up. And then it got to a point when I started to grow and she would dig in my hind parts. I would just take that out. You know what I mean? I just sit there and just take it. And what I would do though was make sure that whatever she said to me, I got something out of it. You understand? I made sure, I don't care what she said to me, how she said it. I made sure that whatever she said to me, I got something out of it. I made sure I learned something from it because it helped me grow. I grew. And it kept me clean. It kept me clean. A lot of the people that was changing her for a counselor went back out. A lot of them went back out. And, hey, but I stuck and stayed. I don't care. I don't care how bad it got. I stuck and stayed with her. And when I got ready to graduate, she spoke highly of me. She spoke highly of me. I was so shocked. I was crying so hard, right? She did. She gave me a hug. She was crying. She said, girl, a lot of days I wanted to beat you up. I said, I wanted to fight you too. But that's how it was at that moment. But I needed that because I was hard headed. I'm a bull, right? I'm bullheaded. Like, not now, but back then I was bullheaded. I didn't want you telling me nothing, you know? And if you told me something, you better watch the way you talk to me. You understand? And it was just that street life coming out of me. That's all. It wasn't really that was who I was, right? It was just being out there in them streets. You start, you know, You pick up the street habits and stuff. You know what I'm saying? And so that's how it was for me. I had been out there in the streets. I was a hustler. I was a booster. I went up in the stores and took shit out the stores and clothes and shit, sold them and like all kinds of stuff, right? And that's just how it was. So when I decided I wanted to get clean, if that's all, that street stuff was coming out of me, you know? But as I went on and I started to, really buckle down and tap into myself, I started to heal and I started to grow. And I'm telling you, I just changed so much. All praises to the Most High. I just changed so much. And now today I have so much wisdom and knowledge and stuff. It's just a beautiful thing to see where I was at and where I'm at today. Like, y'all, it's just a beautiful thing. Like, and some people that be out there, I see a lot of people out there, right? Because believe it or not, a lot of people that was out there with me is dead. A lot of them is dead. They didn't make it. But mm, mm, mm. Whew. Excuse me, y'all. Get a little emotional. But I made it. I made it. And I'm glad that I met the people that I met along the way because they helped me. My mother had passed away. So I really didn't have no family support, right? My mother passed away. And so it was hard. It was just hard. And I wanted to give up. And I wanted to go back out a lot of times. I wanted to just say, forget it. And I wanted to go back out. But I couldn't, right? I couldn't. And then I had children, right? So I couldn't. So my kids kept me holding on, right? And I say my kids kept me holding on because look, I cared about myself, but for a while I didn't care about myself, if that makes sense. Even after I got clean, I wasn't to that point where as though I wanted to like say, I'm done. I was saying I was done, but some days I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if I wanted to be done with that type of life. Some days I wanted to go back out. I wanted to go back out. But my kids, I just kept looking at them, you know, and every move I made, it was like I could see them in my head. I could just always see them. I could always see their face. I could smell them, even when they wasn't around me. It was wild, but they kept me holding on until I started to love myself again, and I just was refusing to give up, you know. And now it's been over 20 years, and it's been how can I put it? It wasn't easy, but it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to see where I came from and where I'm at today. It is such a beautiful thing, you know? And I be wanting to see people who are who are still getting high. I be wanting them to surrender, give it up, right? Because it's no ending to it's no ending to it. You stay out there, you get high, you die, and you die quicker if you keep using. You understand what I'm saying? Like that's not no life. It really isn't. That's not a life. And so, but I also know too that you have to be ready. That's it. When you out there getting high, that's one of them things where you got to just make up your mind you want to get clean, right? And everybody is not there. Everybody is not on that page where they want to get clean. But you have to be ready. You have to be ready. You have to have it in your soul, in your spirit that you want to get clean. And you have to do it. It's just that simple. But some people don't be ready. They just don't be ready. They don't. I remember one time I got this girl in treatment, right? And I went to see her to take her some clothes and stuff. And when I got up there, she was coming out the place. And I'm like, excuse you? Where are you going? She said, girl, I ain't ready. She said, at least I'm just taking up room. I'm not ready. I said, come on. I said, at least give it a try. I said, just stay, stay in there long enough to get over the hump. And then, if you see where you just not ready, then I get it. I understand, you know. But she was like, She said, I'm gone. She said, I'm gone. I'm just not ready for this. So and that's how it be though. That's how it be. If you're not ready, you're not gonna stay clean. It's just that simple. You gotta be ready. Can't nobody make you do it. Your kids can't make you do it. Your mama can't make you do it. Your daddy can't make you do it. You have to be ready to just surrender and say you want to stay clean. Because if you're not ready, you just not gonna do it. And it's just that simple, you know? And that's why some people lose their life out there. I remember it was two sisters that was out there, right? And both of them OD'd. They both OD'd and died. Ain't this something? They were sisters. And they OD'd. That's when fentanyl had hit here. Fentanyl. That's when that fentanyl had hit. And a lot of people was going out, going out off of it. And it was two sisters, and yeah, they went off of it, and they didn't make it. They OD right there beside each other. That was crazy. Boy, that did something to me, And I was clean at that time. But it just, you know what I mean? It just touch your heart. If you got a heart, it just bothered me. You know what I mean? It really did. It bothered me. Cause I be looking at some people and I be wishing that I could take a magic wand and just clean them up. Just wave that wand and and make them clean, make them whole again. You know what I mean? I really do be thinking like that. I be like, dang, I wish I had a magic wand where each addict I could take them and just, you know, wave that wand and they be clean and sober. But it's just not like that. It's not like that. So all you could do is pray for the people who are still suffering and stuff. That's all you could do, because so many people have died. I be sitting back, thinking, and I be like, wow, so many people, left here because of drugs. You know, like wow. And I started getting high because my brother turned me on. He turned me on to dope. I ain't know nothing about no damn dope. Now, I knew that people use drugs, but I wasn't familiar with it like that. It was a lot about it I didn't know. And I knew I was doing something wrong. Like, yeah, my mother taught me you say no to drugs. So I knew I was doing something wrong, but I did not know that shit was going to turn my life upside down. It's like that. I did not know that. And I never understood why my brother did that to me. He passed away, but I never understood why he did that to me. I still don't understand that. I still don't understand that. Why would you? I would never do that to somebody. I don't care if we don't even like each other. I would never try to turn somebody onto that stuff. Wow. I couldn't do it. I could not do it. I could never turn somebody onto that. to that stuff. And mess up somebody's life like that. I could never do that. I couldn't. I could never do that. And I never understood why my brother did that. And he knew about it. Like he knew because he was hooked on it. He knew all about it. And he turned me onto it. And he never said, if you keep doing this, it's going to make you sick. You know, he never told me really about it, but he just kept giving me some. Every time I turned around, he was giving me a little bit, you know. And I ain't gonna lie, I liked the feeling. I did like the feeling of it. But I didn't know nothing about getting ill and stuff like that. You know, it making you sick. You know, you become addicted. It start making you sick. I didn't know nothing about that part. I really didn't. I didn't know nothing about that. And I thought you could do it and put it down when you got ready. You know, that's what I was thinking. That you could you know, experiment with it. And if you don't want it, you put it down. That's what I thought. Well, that's not how it was. I found out later on that it was far, far from that. Okay? But let me tell you, God is amazing. God is so amazing what he could do. What he can do. I'm telling you. When he say he not gonna leave you or forsake you, when he say he don't put too much on you, you know, that you can't handle, let me tell you, he be speaking facts. That's facts. Because all the stuff that I went through, all the stuff that I went through, he lifted me up. He lifted me up. He cleaned me up. I'm serious. I don't even look like the stuff I done been through. Like seriously. You know what I'm saying? I look at myself all the time and I be like, damn. Oh, I think about where I've been and I think about where I'm at. And I be like, damn, I don't even look like you know, all the stuff I've been through. I still look good. I still look good with all the stuff I done been through. I can actually look in the mirror at myself. I don't look like what I have been through. For real. I don't, and I know I don't. But I've been through a lot of stuff, y'all. I've been through a lot of stuff. You hear me? But God is amazing. That's all I can keep saying is God is amazing. Because only God can do that. Only God can lift you up, right? And make you look whole again. Like seriously. He can do it. He can do it. I'm telling you. And that's why I'm trying to get my book wrote, y'all. Because I'm writing a book about, you know, my addiction, the things I've been through in my life. Right? Because I think it's something that can help people, you know, like children, you know, when you want to teach your children about drugs and stuff like that. I really want to put my book together because I want to make it where as though it's something that a parent could sit and read to their children, and you know, so they'll know what drugs do to them and stuff like that, what, you know, what happens when you start using drugs and different stuff like that, you know. I really do. I really do. And I'm going to figure out how to put it together whereas though it can be used for parents and stuff to, you know, teach their children about drugs. You know what drugs can do to you, based on my story. You know, them telling them my story. But yeah, I you know I've had a life. Like they say, we all got a story, right? We all got a story to tell. I have one. I have a story. Okay. One thing about it, I'm not ashamed of. I used to be ashamed and stuff about it, but I'm so glad I came out of that. Cause now today I share my story with anybody. I don't care. I don't care about what people think, what people say about me. I don't even worry about that, right? I can share my story today with my head up, my chest out. You understand what I mean? And and I feel good when I talk about it, when I tell people my story. I feel good because that's not where I'm at today. You understand what I'm saying? And yeah, when you get to a point in your life where you can talk about you instead of talking about other people, the game changes. It's a game changer. It really is. Because it makes you love yourself even more. It makes you accept yourself. It makes you trust yourself. It makes you be loyal to yourself. All that, right? When you can start talking about you instead of talking about other people, right? When you could stand and tell your story and still with your head up, not standing up there like this with your head down and feeling ashamed and stuff. No, when you can stand up there with your head up and share your story and stuff, it does. It makes you love yourself even more. It brings all that back. The love, the trust, the loyalty, all that start coming back, and it helps you heal. It really do, y'all. I'm telling you, it helps you heal. But some people are so scared to share their story. They don't want to share their story. They scared. They worry about what somebody gonna say. They worrying about what somebody gonna think. I don't give a damn what you think about me. I don't. I don't care what you think about me. My thing is I can help others from the things I've been through in my life and the wisdom and knowledge that I have, that I have. I can help so many people. So I don't worry about what people think about me. I don't. It's not about what somebody think about you. It's about what you think of yourself. That's what it's really about. And some people don't think highly of themselves. They don't. That's why they don't want to share their story. That's why, they spend so much time talking about somebody else instead of talking about themselves. It sounds easy when you say talk about yourself. It sounds easy, but it's not easy. A lot of people can't do it. A lot of people can't do it. A lot of people talk about other people, but when it comes to them having to talk about themselves, they don't want to do that. They ain't gonna do that. You know, they're not gonna do that. But I'm telling you, if you get to a habit, and I always tell people use that what you call it? Use that I use the man in the mirror technique. I stand in the mirror and talk to me. Seriously. That's how I learned how to tell my story. By standing in the mirror, telling my story. Looking at myself, telling my story. That's how I learned how to do that. And now I share my story. I don't have a problem with sharing my story. It doesn't bother me. But what it did do is it helped me heal. It helped me love myself. It helped me accept me for who I am, or accept where I've been. Let's put it like that. Because I'm not where I was. Okay? But it helps doing that, it helps me to accept where I was, and not be ashamed of it. You see what I'm saying? Not being ashamed of it and being able to tell it, because you never know who you helping when you share your story, right? And I'm gonna say this. You can, like, say two of us get up here and we telling our story. We've been through the same thing. Two people can been through the same thing, a drug addiction. But when we tell our story, you're going to get two different stories. You see what I'm saying? You're going to get two different stories. But both of us can been through the same thing. But we have been and had two different experiences. So when they tell their story, you're gonna get their story, and then you're gonna get my story, and they're gonna end up being two different stories. It might have some similarities in it, but it's gonna end up being two different stories. So yeah. But yeah, trusting in yourself is so important, y'all, because having that trust in yourself makes you want to do the unthinkable for you, right? Because a lot of people hold back. They really hold back and they don't give it their all, right? They want to do certain things in their life, but they won't do it because they don't have that trust in themselves. They don't have that trust in themselves. They're not loyal to themselves. They're lacking the self-love. You understand what I'm saying? And these things will keep you from doing what it is that you want to do for you. It'll keep you, it'll hold you back. It will. And some things also come from trauma. Some people have trauma. They have trauma going on, right? And when you got trauma going on and you haven't healed, it will cause you to, it'll keep you like, how can I put it? It will keep you from pushing forward by having trauma that you haven't healed from. Because some of us do. We have trauma that we've been holding on for so long and we haven't healed from it. So because of that, the trauma does hold you back. Trauma will keep you from trusting yourself. Trauma will keep you from having loyalty to yourself. Trauma will keep you from loving yourself. You see what I'm saying? So it's important that you heal. We have to heal, y'all. If we got trauma going on, we have to heal. We really do. I had a conversation with somebody, right? And she had been violated by someone, okay? And she said that she was 19 and she liked it, the guy, but some kind of way he came over and they was going to do something, but she didn't want to do it. And they ended up doing it and he ended up violating her, right? So, but then she went on to say that she kept letting it happen. So so then I said, can I ask you a question? Why did you keep letting him come over and do this to you when you knew you didn't want it to be done? And so she got real, upset because I was asking questions. But let me tell you something. I always ride with the victims. I don't care. I'll ride with the victims. I don't care what's going on. I'm riding with the victims until I find out what really happened. I'm riding with the victim. Because a lot of times when victims tell their story, they end up being shamed or people don't believe them. And that's why a lot of people don't like to come out and tell their stories because too many people shame them and they try to make them say people start saying that they lying and different stuff like that. So I always made a choice and a decision to ride with the victims. Unless I find out something different, I'm riding with the victim. You see what I'm saying? So she got real heated with me because I was asking a few questions about the story. And I just shut up. After she got so mad and angry, I just shut up. I said, I'm gonna just leave it alone, because I didn't want her to feel like I didn't believe her. But at the same time, the things that she was saying wasn't, it just I had questions. I had questions. So I came out and asked her. And I did tell her, I said, I'm not saying I don't believe you, but I just have questions because what she was telling me was sounding kind of, like, I don't know. It wasn't, I don't know. It was just sounding a little funny to me. So I asked questions and she got very upset with me. So I'm like, you don't believe me. You don't believe me. Now, let me say this. I do know that sometimes when people get hurt, they have a tendency of a tendency of flipping the script when they hurt, when they done got hurt by somebody. They have a tendency to flip the script. I do know that because I've seen a lot of people do it, you know? So that's why I was asking her questions. But she got all upset and tried to wild out. And I said, okay, okay, let's leave it alone. Let's leave it alone. You don't believe me. I said, I never said I didn't believe you. I just had questions and I was asking you the questions I wanted to ask you. You know? I said, well, let's just leave it alone. And so that's what I did. I just left it alone, you know? But when people are hurt, people will do stuff when they hurt. I do know that because I've seen a lot of stuff happen before. People will do things when they hurt, or when somebody done hurt them. They will do things. That's not right. I'm just saying. They will do things that's not right because they hurt. You understand? So what time is it? I'm getting ready to get off here. I said I was gonna stay on here 30 minutes, and I've been on here for a minute. Yvette, I thought I spoke to you, Yvette. If I didn't, I apologize. How you doing? I'm glad you tapped in. I thought I had spoke to you. I thought I was speaking to people as they came in, but maybe I didn't. And if I didn't, I apologize. But thank you all for tapping in. I appreciate you. Uh, Again, please like and subscribe and share if you care. And I will see y'all on the next one.